Hey guys, Buckeye Bar Guys. We wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to us here on Buckeye Bar Talk. Great show we got coming up today. We're really looking forward to you guys listening and watching it. But just wanted to remind everybody, just remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the all notifications bell, that way anytime a new show comes up, you guys will be alerted to it. And don't forget to like the video and comment on the video. All interactions with us helps us continue to grow, and we appreciate your support. Now to the show. Welcome back, everybody. Buckeye Bar Guys here on Buckeye Bar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
Today's date is Tuesday, August 31st. I don't know why I'm thinking it was October. August 31st, and we are officially 2 days from the start of the Ohio State football season. Hallelujah.
We're almost there, man.
Almost there. So pretty stoked about that. Big show tonight is we're going to go over our thoughts on Minnesota, some of the stuff that we're looking forward to seeing in this opening game, what we need to see, what we want to see. We're going to talk about a little bit here to start the show on this past weekend, just real quick on week 0, some thoughts about just throw some thoughts out there about Nebraska, and then maybe a little bit about the UCLA. Is Nebraska's got a big year in front of them now. That was a must win, especially if they think they're going to get bowl eligible, probably with their schedule in front of them. And UCLA, are they for real, or are they just pretenders? So we'll be talking just a little bit about that, and then we'll get into just some of our thoughts about some of the Big Ten games coming up this weekend, and so on and so on. College football is here.
Yes, sir. I got the starts to the victory beard going, so going at the clean shave, and hopefully I don't have to shave the rest of the season.
I liked when somebody asked Day yesterday if he was going to be if he was going to shave, and he's like, "Yes, I'm shaving. I'm too superstitious to wear my beard for the season."
We always say, everyone says it, Ryan Day needs to keep the beard, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon.
The beard is for the off season, and the clean face is for he wants everybody to see the rosy cheeks, so he knows that they know the assassin.
They know the assassin is present.
Yeah. He's not one of those guys he's not a sneak up and kill you assassin. You got to see it.
See, I'm not one for shaving, so this is only for like special occasions, like the start of a football season, and then I grow it until I have to shave it again, which means a loss. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't think it will. But we'll actually get into that because we'll talk about that. I don't think we're going to get a regular season loss, but what does that really mean in the long term? Because, I think they could really go through the schedule and, there could still be a lot of warning signs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, we'll bring that up a little later. All right. So week 0 happened. We kind of talked about this a little bit on our last show about, this was pretty much a must win for Nebraska. I can't remember. I think I ended up saying I would go with Nebraska. Did you say Illinois, or did you go with Nebraska too?
I said Illinois outright. I don't know if I actually changed my mind or not. I know I flip-flopped a couple of times on Twitter.
There were some things I think we were both nervous about, just because, Bielema is, love to make fun of the guy, but you know what you're getting from him. He's going to build a tough team. He's in the trenches guy. He's got a real, area that he could recruit from that's perfect for that. He can get linemen, he can get running backs, plenty of them on both levels. And and I saw, like, I was joking around with our father because he was here and we were watching the game a little bit. I'm like, what I've seen a lot of this game, I've seen a lot of running between the tackles. I've seen end arounds and I've seen play action pass.
Yeah.
So Bert's back.
Well, and that's the thing, especially in the Big Ten West, they run the ball, and if you get any decent play out of your tight ends, like, they're going to be all right. And, they got a good tight end that transferred in from Georgia. I know he got hurt for a minute in the game. I don't know if he was, if that was a long-term thing or not, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't really look great for Nebraska.
A couple things that Scott Frost said after the game. I think he said this in his press conference, that he basically like half their game plan had to go out the window because they weren't really sure what they were going to do. And I get it. They have a different offensive coordinator, Bielema has, but I mean, you can watch the tapes of Wisconsin and Arkansas
and you can have an idea
of what they were going to do. Right. And I didn't see anything. And I watched that whole game. I didn't see anything that Illinois did that I'm like, yeah, this doesn't feel like that Brett Bielema is the head coach. Like,
exactly. And it's like nothing. And they didn't do anything in that game that you could be like, oh man, we shouldn't have been prepared for that. Like, they didn't come out like what Schiano did last year with Rutgers. You know, once Ohio State started thumping them, like, all right, you know what? We're throwing the playbook away and we're just running trick plays the whole game. Like, it was nothing like that. I mean, it's just he ran Burt Bielema's offense and they got to a point. I mean, I thought Nebraska, and I put out on Twitter, I'm like, they're going to weather the storm and then they're going to end up blowing the doors off of Illinois. Because, you know, Nebraska's defense looked tough starting off.
Well, they did look very tough.
They were getting through the line. They were getting great penetration. They were getting to the quarterback. They hurt Brandon Peters. And I thought, I mean, it just seemed like they were the better team through the first quarter, you know, like, hey, you work out the kinks of the first game and then you're going to get it rolling and you're going to be fine. And then like second and third quarter, they did not look like the better team.
Well, there was a stretch early in that game when they scored their touchdown. That they actually looked like, you know, they ran the ball a lot. I'm
very
like,
well.
Right, yeah, you got that freshman running back, you got the USC transfer, I think was Steps his name.
Yeah, Step, yeah.
You know, Martinez, you know, can run the ball. I'm like, all right, I mean, do this. I'm like, you're playing really good defense. You having a good series, and it's just they seem to come off of it too much. And I guess, and I said this on Twitter, that was always been like, I do like Scott Frost. I think that's the critique I've had a lot of him, though, at different times, is that he just seems like he doesn't build an identity there. And I think he's trying to, but I think at the same time, he tries to times make Martinez, Adrian.
Yeah, not Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor was the one before him.
He tries to make him into something I don't think he is. And like, I don't think he's ever figured out how to actually play with him. And as the quarterback, and Adrian's got a lot of deficiencies on his own. He doesn't take good care of the ball. You know, he's not.
His arm's gotten worse.
He throws the arm putt throws. I mean, but at the same time, it's just like, you know what he's good at? He fumbles the ball, but he can run the ball.
Yeah, he's good at fumbling the ball.
He can run the ball though. He's good at that, and you have good running backs. So I mean, yeah, I know you're putting him the risk of injury and stuff like that, but I mean, you could be on a very, very hot seat here, and this is really putting you in a position now that, I mean, Illinois was one of the few games. I mean, you have a tough schedule. I mean, outside, you still play Wisconsin, Northwestern, and Iowa, and Minnesota, which none of them are going to be bad teams to a point. I mean, Northwestern might be the worst out of that group, and they're the defending.
They always do. They say they're the worst, and they end up beating them.
Yeah, but I mean, the other ones, I mean, Iowa's looking. This looks like it's going to be one of those Ferentz years where he's got all, everybody. I mean, they're replacing some stuff on defense, especially in their pass rush, but they are pretty loaded in the back seven.
Mm-hmm.
The offense, they got good guys in the offense.
All world center.
You got Mertz back in Wisconsin. You got that, and Wisconsin's been pretty much the team of the West for this whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Northwestern's been to titles. Pat Fitzgerald's a great coach. And then, Minnesota, which we're going to get to here in a minute, they are returning a boatload of people, and they got some good talent throughout. Yeah. So, I mean, you got possibly 4 losses right there, and that's not even saying you're still playing Ohio State, Michigan State, and Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know. It's a long, long road to become bowl eligible.
Yeah. And as we said last week, Buffalo is no picnic of a team. That's maybe with this schedule, that's like the worst MAC draw you could have out of that. So I don't know. I mean, definitely felt the frustration from our Nebraska brethren on Twitter this weekend when I was, watching the game, and, thank God we're in a different position, because I could never even imagine, those type of situations. And that's what's scary with a lot of these teams up here in the North, is that Buckeye fans, and I know Buckeye fans, we have a lot of different times we gripe about a lot of things that sometimes is just like, it seems like we're just nitpicking stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of teams up here that it could be worse for. I mean, even our good schools. I mean, Penn State is in a lot different a situation than we're in. Michigan's in a far different situation. Notre Dame's just a national brand. So outside of them and us, there is, I mean, the whole northern portion of the country, a lot of your talent has left over the years. And, so just be thankful we're in the boat that we're in.
Yeah. And I think RJ Young, I think that's who I saw put it up on Twitter. And he didn't put a lot of context behind it. He just said that, well, I guess the context would not be the right word, but he said that Nebraska, this is the fourth time, and I want to say it was like 35, 40 years that they lost their opening game during the season. So this is the fourth time. Scott Frost has 3 of those.
That's not great considering, most of them are going to be against, I mean, yeah, granted, he's played
Ohio State, Illinois.
He's played a couple of Big Ten schools in there, but still, I mean,
yeah,
when Nebraska came in, they were the team that was expected. They were going to be the team that won the majority of the team championships out in the West, and they were going to play one of the 3 powers of the East.
Well, they were what? They were a legend when they came in.
Yeah, so they were in our side, right?
We were leaders. We were leaders of the Big Ten. They were legends.
So they've always been an opposite side than us,
right?
But
yes, I believe so. Because wasn't Wisconsin on the same side as
Wisconsin? Played them.
Yeah, because Wisconsin backed in 2012.
Yeah, because us and Penn State both were ineligible, even though they should have still let us play in it. I mean, we were only ineligible for the bowl. We should have still been able to win the Big Ten championship. I don't care. You send Nebraska to the bowl after.
Yeah, agreed.
But all right. So just real quick, UCLA, LSU. So UCLA, I mean, they crushed Hawaii. That's right. I was ready to say they crushed Fresno. I'm like, no, Fresno crushed UConn. So. Which that will be an interesting game this weekend between Fresno and Oregon because, Fresno usually can put a pretty decent team out there. So
I think they typically have a decent team, and then they'll have that one rebuilding year where it's real bad, and then they turn back around and they're solid for a couple years in a row.
Not saying Oregon is going to lose to them, but it'd just be interesting. I mean, it's one thing starting off against Minnesota and then playing Oregon. It's another thing starting off against Fresno and going to play Ohio State. And
it's a whole nother thing starting off against UConn and then going to play Oregon.
Yeah, true. So I think they'll be more ready where I could see maybe Oregon overlooking.
Yeah. No, I could definitely. Fresno's been a good team. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what they have.
So UCLA. So I saw a lot of things this week about, Herb Streak said, watch out for UCLA, and of course some of the game day guys,
well, we're not going to talk about him.
God bless the SEC, talking about, we'll see how well they do about LSU coming to town. But this could be actually a good game for Chip Kelly because LSU is going to throw an unbelievable defense at them, but Orgeron, as much as I love his sound bites, I mean, outside of Joe Burrow and Joe Brady, what has he ever done offensively?
Yeah. Well, nothing offensively. I mean, his defense that would have been 18, right? Yeah. His defense in 2018 was pretty solid. I mean, they lost 3 games, I think, but they kept Burrow in all those games. Just there was no imagination in that offense, so there was nothing that they could do.
And it just seems like I don't think UCLA is going to beat LSU. LSU will win that game, but I just think it's going to be a lot closer than probably some people think it will be. And, Chip Kelly's actually got a good roster out there, and it will be interesting. I think he could compete to win the pack this year because he's really gotten a lot of his players. And so
I could see it. I don't know. I could see UCLA winning. I don't, like you said, what has LSU done? I mean, their roster it has gotten worse since, since that championship year. Now, anything that has, any team with Derek Stingley and Eli Ricks as your starting cornerbacks, that's always going to be kind of hard to move the ball through the air if that's your goal is to go on the outside. So, I mean, you always got to like LSU's defense going into a game.
Yeah.
It's just, can the offense do anything?
Yeah. And then can UCLA find spots where they could actually score touchdowns? So,
yeah. And if UCLA, I mean, LSU's always been a team kind of like Ohio State. I mean, not as dominant. And I'm talking about perennial run defense. So before all the SEC people, oh my God, he said, their defense isn't historically as dominant as Ohio State's. Run defense, they're not as historically like shut down all the time as what Ohio State has been. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. I don't know how UCLA does running the ball, but if Kelly can find, drives to get down the field, get himself in a position that his team can score touchdowns, who knows?
Yeah. And of course they have that Michigan running back that left Michigan.
It made Harbaugh look very freaking smart.
And now Milton's going to be starting at Tennessee. So that's going to be.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if he looks great at Tennessee?
Yeah. So.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hate Tennessee and I dislike their fans very much, but
Yes.
I hope Joe Milton looks good just for the sake of making Jim Harbaugh look like an idiot.
Yeah. So just just a couple observations from week 0. I think for our thought process, Nebraska was more of an important game. Should win this week. They're playing Fordham, but they just have a really tough schedule, and it just every week that if they take a bunch of L's this year, it just seems like that NCAA violation is going to creep up here, where it'd be like, all right, well,
I just when you're near 4, and even though Nebraska wasn't in a great spot before he got there, it's just. How much, I don't know, can you use tough schedule as an excuse this year?
Mike Riley's had a better record than him, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just think. I mean,
Mike Riley had he went 500 in 3 seasons.
All Bo Pelini ever did was one of them 9 games, 9 and 10 game win seasons, but he was mean, so he couldn't stay.
He had a very red face and turned shades of purple at times when he was upset.
Was it the athletic director or the school president? Who did he?
It might have been both.
Listen, guy.
Hey, pal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So Minnesota. So we're going to talk a little bit about just our general thoughts on Minnesota. What we want to see, what we need to see. From Ohio State, and then we'll get into kind of just picking what we think against the spread, the Big Ten teams, and then we will throw out a score for Ohio State this weekend.
Okay.
All right, so we know Minnesota is extremely experienced. They're, from what I believe I heard, they're returning 10 guys on both sides of the ball. Maybe it's 9 on one or the other, but
it's 19 or 20 returning starters,
which is crazy. So,
that's really crazy.
And it's a team that was very good 2 years ago. And we've kind of said this in the past. A lot of it we saw last year, you kind of got to throw out the window because, you got basically told your season was canceled and then you were having a season. And then you didn't know how many games you're going to get through in the season.
Rashad Bateman opted out. He opted in. He got hurt. They lost because they didn't have half their team. They looked real bad for the first half of the season because they like what happened to Ohio State at the end of last year. That happened to Minnesota at the beginning of last year. They were completely depleted for the entire first half of their season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Michigan kicked their ass.
That's right. I'm like, it was Michigan.
Remember Joe Milton for Heisman?
And then that everything came down crashing on them then the following week. But
don't they lose this? Do they lose to Sparty the following week?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, they're great. I love them.
Yeah, because I think they played Sparty the same week we played Penn State. But yeah,
they exist for our entertainment. I love Michigan.
So but yeah, so very good 2 years ago. I mean, they were a Wisconsin game away from playing us in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
So, and because I remember rooting for Minnesota that year because I wanted to play somebody different. We've played Wisconsin before, and and
they started off so tough.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see because they're what they're going to rely on. They're going to rely on, unless they go completely off script and try to really throw the ball around, it's going to be a possession offense. They're going to try to really slow it down. I mean, Ohio State's offense is Ohio State's offense. I don't care how young the quarterback is. And you can do some things to throw at a young quarterback. I'm sure they're going to pressure him fairly early to see, how strong his head is. But if he gets the ball out, if the Ohio State's running good, I mean, you are facing such an uphill battle on that side of the ball. You can't be throwing advantages at Ohio State when you have the ball. So Like
Yeah.
they're going to be slowing this game
I
down.
think they'll want to play ball control. Absolutely.
They have Ibrahim is how you pronounce the last name.
Mohammed Ibrahim. Yeah.
So good running back. They have a very solid offensive line. So, I mean, I'm assuming that's going to be the goal. I mean, I could see maybe their first 10 scripted plays. They're going to come out, maybe toss the ball around a little. If they get the ball first, I could see them coming out, tossing the ball around a little bit just to make Ohio State think of some stuff. But they're going to go real quick into, okay, let's keep on to this ball and not let Ohio. It's a game of keep away.
Well, and their line is huge, and they're what's coming back. So, they're part of those 10 returning starters on the offense are the offensive line. Mohammed Ibrahim, he went over 1,000 yards in the shortened season last year. Like,
it's crazy.
He had a great year. He looks tough. He's not a huge guy, but he is a bowling ball. And, he knows how to, sometimes he can get lost back there. He knows how to go through contact. He's a hell of a running back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and like to go back to the offensive line, I'm not going to try to pronounce the guy's name because he's, what Pacific guy, and I'm not great with those names, but he is bigger than DeJuan Jones. So put that into perspective. The guy is 6'9", 400 pounds.
It's crazy to think of that there's actually
there's a human out there that is bigger than Big Thanos. So yeah, I mean, they got a lot that they can do, a lot that they've done. And, not to mention that they do have a returning 3-year starter at quarterback that had a pretty good year 2 years ago, Tanner Morgan. So you're right. I don't think they're going to throw. I mean, they're going to try to get ball control. They're going to try to wear Ohio State down, but they could do some things in the air also if Ohio State is too committed to the run.
I think, like I said, I think in those first scripted plays, that first series, they're going to try to throw the ball around a little bit because that's what teams do. They like, hey, why don't you think a little bit about this? We can do this. They might even run a little no huddle. Who knows? I mean, just do something different, but they're not going to do that all game. And they're going to go back into what their identity is.
Sure.
Pretty quick once the game gets going. Because they have to. They're not going to win a shootout with Ohio State. At one point, Ohio State's defense is talented enough that they're going to get stops. And, and once they get settled in the game, then if you're going to try to pass it on, Ohio State's got, a young secondary, but Minnesota's not the most explosive receiving threats in the world. They're going to get to them.
Yeah.
And Ohio State's pass rush will get to Morgan. And then on the other side of the ball, I mean, like I said, it is just such an uphill battle. I know they're going to be returning a lot of guys on defense. From what I remember from them, they're not a flashy defense. But they are a kind of
they got a good line.
We don't make mistake defense.
Yeah.
And I've always said, that's kind of like they're probably maybe a poor man. From what I remember 2 years ago, kind of like a poor man's version of Penn State's defense. They don't do a lot, but they also don't make mistakes.
Right.
They're where they need to be. It's kind of like Iowa's defense too, and Wisconsin's defense in a lot of ways. That they are what they are, and you got the athletic advantage on them, so you just got to kind of beat them at that, and and so I think the goal for Ohio State is to get as many 3 and outs, maybe 6 and outs throughout this game as possible, and then just use your athletic advantage and beat Minnesota's defense.
Wow. It's like you read my mind. Because that's what I was going to say. What we need to see happen in this game. Because, you and I have been saying this for a while. Like, defense isn't the same as what defense is. You got to find your spots. Maybe get a turnover there. Don't let the other team just blow your doors off, though. Your offense should be fine. That's just kind of old school. Reverse it. Ohio State needs to get 3 and outs early in this game because you need to be able to take advantage and you need to put them in a spot where they got to throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel too. If this game is a game late in the second half, if this is a game, to me, that means Ohio State's defense they're giving up too many yards early downs, and they're giving up easy passes.
Too many first downs
to get first downs. So
easy short conversions.
That these are, the Minnesota's facing a lot of 3rd and 4s and 3rd and 3s, and as a quick throw to a tight end or to a receiver out in the slot or whatever. And that's where, now if Minnesota's facing a lot of the 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. Well, now that is Ohio State's advantage, and you are a much better shot that you're going to have them in 3rd and long at that point. So it's kind of like when you think about when we were just talking about Bielema, it's those old, we always did good against him except that one year, and it was because he had so many 3rd and 2s when
and
the year we lost, because they would go, and even we did well on 1st down, but they killed us that whole game on end arounds, just doing like they're Bielema ball.
And then when you got Monty Ball's on the team, is he on the? He's young.
I don't remember, but
I know it's Clay for sure. I think Monty Ball might be their second guy because back then they always had 2. They always had 2 guys back then. So and it was like when you get to the point that it's 3rd and 2, and it's just like, well, they're either gonna hit an end around or they're gonna go right up the middle with Jonathan Clay, and it's just like every single time.
You might have a great defensive line, but that big offensive line, they're at a very big time advantage.
Oh yeah, and they're wearing you down.
Very similar to what we're gonna be facing in Minnesota. If we were facing a lot of 3rd and 2s, Ohio State, this might be more of a struggle than it probably has to be.
Right, yeah. This is if they're moving the ball very well on 1st and 2nd downs, and they're keeping themselves in manageable 3rd downs. This might be a game that goes to the 4th quarter.
So yeah, that is definitely the need point. I want to see, what you're going up against. So to me, I think, Kerry Combs needs to take, cornerbacks, Cam Brown, Seven Banks. You're on glue time. You those receivers on the outside, you stick to them. And that's it. You play press coverage, stick to them, and then you play very aggressively in the middle of the field. You go big.
And good news for Ohio State right now is Minnesota's top returning receiver, Chris Autman-Bell. It does sound like that he is a game time decision. So even if he does play, it doesn't sound like he's necessarily 100%. So that could be helpful. They got a lot of unproven talent behind him, though.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we definitely same needs. I don't know how much our secondary is going to get truly challenged. It could be a game where the secondary looks bad though, if they are giving up, if we're having a lot of 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, because it's like, well, you guys gave up how many completions? Well, it's not as hard to throw a completion on, a quick throw.
We've seen a lot of, and we've seen that for so many years, if you're on that plus side or, a 3rd and manageable, 3rd and 3 or shorter, that's a pretty easy throw, especially if a team's anticipating a run.
Yeah, because basically it's taking your defensive lines pretty much out of it. You're just looking for a quick throw, a quick completion. You're looking at slants, which, previous Ohio State's defenses have had issues with at times in the middle of the field.
And Minnesota too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is a fear. So play aggressive. Just play press on those outside receivers and just play very tight. Then, you're going to have this whole new bullet position and stuff like that. So, you figure out what you have to do against their tight ends, and, you play heavy then in the middle to figure out that that's what they're going to do. And, if they come out and they try to do some silly things, well, then you take advantage of that, because I don't think they're an offense that's going to be able to spread you around. They might try to. Maybe they'll do a couple early in the game, try to get maybe 3 receiver sets out there, but they're not going to live on that. And, that. So if they try to do that, well, then you just use your athletic advantage and then you bury them. And, so get them off the field and use that offensive, use the offense, just the pound, just beat them up to the point that, they're trying to throw the ball because, there's no point in handing it off. Or maybe they just want to hand it maybe you get to the point where it's a loss for them and they will run the ball because they don't want to
let's get out here with as little damage as possible and run the clock.
Yeah.
That's a good thing too.
So that was definitely our needs. Now my want is on the offensive side of the ball. I want Ohio State to score a lot of points. I want CJ Stroud to look good. I don't need him to look like he's the best quarterback in the world right now.
No.
I need him. I want him to, I want him to be really great. I just need him to be, competent.
Yeah.
I don't need him to throw. He needs to be taking care of the ball and realizing this is a very long season. Don't do stupid things out there. And, you're not going to feel the pressure of the guys that are behind you if you just play smart.
Right. Mine was kind of the same as that. I don't want to say I don't want them to be reckless out there, but I want to see, them gelling as an offense, but I want to see CJ Stroud, making quick decisions. I want to see that things can be done, quickly, that if someone breaks open, bam, the ball's there. I want to make sure the receivers are getting the ball on time, that Ohio State's moving quickly, that they're not just like going back in a, 5-step drop and he's just waiting for someone to be open. I want to see him make, process decisions quickly. Of course, I don't want, like you were saying, be safe with it. I don't want him to be reckless and be throwing picks. I don't think he will. I heard he holds on to the ball, but he doesn't turn the ball over, is what I heard. We all heard from Ryan Day. I don't want I heard, but yeah, I want to see that offense being able to, move the ball in rhythm.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, little 3-step drop, boom, ball's there. He gets the catch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want to see, is just exploit them where you can. You are faster than them. You have better receivers.
You got better running backs. I mean, you
make them pay quick.
And, we've heard this from a lot of people. So this isn't just me, just throwing this out there, you throwing it. I mean, I've heard guys from all the way from, pretty much all the beat reporters to, I was listening to, Dom Taberi, which has covered Ohio State for a long time.
Right.
He was on the radio today. He's like, this is probably the best receiving room and running back room that we might have ever seen in Columbus. And their line is huge. And
right.
It's like they're mountains out there. And he's like, it's like you're looking at 5 Orlando Paces. And
wow, what a thought.
And so now we'll see if they could be like Orlando Pace, looking like Orlando Pace and being Orlando Pace, 2 different things. So,
what's the company in Jurassic Park? And Jen, get John Hammond on the phone. We need 5 Orlando Paces on our offensive line. We need it now.
As long as he comes out and says that spared no expense. Name, image, and likeness, you probably could get it through, right? I don't know.
I think so. You could splice in something there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who you would need to add to Orlando Pace.
But yeah. So so they have a huge offensive line that is loaded with talent to begin with. You have an ungodly deep receiving room, and then you probably have almost as equally as an ungodly deep running back room. So
yeah,
CJ Stroud doesn't have to do a lot. Just don't make mistakes, make it look like it's the well-oiled machine that it could be. Mm-hmm. And, it might take a couple series to get there, but I think if it gets there, they're going to easily win this game.
Oh yeah.
Because, it's like every series. I mean, they could literally have every offensive series, 5 plays, touchdown, 5 plays, touchdown, because it's going to be throw, run, throw, touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that they can do it. It can get kind of lopsided quickly.
Yeah. So definitely want to see them just be who they're supposed to be, but I don't need it yet. Now, going forward in the season, and I kind of said that, we kind of talked about earlier, kind of said that I think that they easily, if they get through this week and then they go beat Oregon next week, there's just not a lot of challenges left on the schedule. I mean, they're going to be better when they play. They're going to be ready to play Michigan. They'll be extremely focused for that Indiana, Penn State back-to-back. I just don't see where a lot of challenge points, but that doesn't mean that they're getting better. And that this will be kind of dangerous. If they play good and win these games, but maybe they're a little shaky and then they easily blow out the rest of the schedule with maybe a couple exceptions, have they really gotten better during the season? And we might not know that until the playoff, because you might not know how good the defense is, because they are more talented every team that they easily are playing on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. So, I mean, last season, I think we didn't we do like a breakout player on each side of the ball, or like MVP?
Yeah. I think we did do something. So
yeah. Okay. So offense, who do you think is going to be, let's say, the MVP of this game on offense?
offense MVP. I think it's going to be. I'm going to say CJ Stroud. I think he's going to look really, really good, and he's gonna play within himself, and he's gonna let everybody else do their thing and make him look good in the process.
I like that. I said Garrett Wilson probably like every single game last year. So I'm going to say Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be the guy this game. I think Olave and Wilson are going to get so much attention on the outside, and that guy's just going to continue. Paris Campbell, KJ Hill, Garrett Wilson. He's just going to continue being that dude in the slot.
I think him and both Emeka and maybe even Wilson at times, especially since we've kind of heard some things that they are, doing a lot of different types of formations with him, that, moving him a lot, that could really bring back in those crossing routes. And I think I don't know what Minnesota, I'm assuming they're more of a zone style team. So
I think
you're not maybe running a lot of crossing routes to begin with, but if they start getting into man, like Ohio State could really, they'll go right back to that offense and been like, all right, we'll do easy pitch and catches all day long with you.
We'll torch these guys. Yeah. We'll throw the ball 5 yards and he'll run for 30. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. Like I said, I just think those guys are I think CJ Stroud is just going to be himself and not try to do too much. He might be a little nervous to start out the game. That would be unexpected. I think this is going to be I'll give my score later in the show, but I think this is going to be a very close first quarter. I think once the second quarter begins, you're going to start seeing that Ohio State is just a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
All right, your defense.
So I'm kind of struggling with this one because I think this could easily be someone on the defensive line because so much is going into how huge Minnesota's offensive line is. It seems like they're just like mountains that are going to overpower us, and we've seen that happen before, and we've seen our defensive line look pretty damn good while people have said that. So I think you can easily go with like a Zach Harrison or a Haskell Garrett here. But I'm going to go with someone I don't think I said it all last year. I'm going to say Josh Proctor all the way, the single high safety. One, I think he's going to show that, he has matured, that he understands that position, what he has to do. But I think he's going to be huge in run support coming downhill.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think we'll see. I think the back end, we're going to see a lot of good things. And granted, Minnesota's not going to challenge them a lot, but I think the outside corners are going to look really good. I'm really interested to see between the bullet, the slot, the second safety, whatever, how they defend the tight ends. That'll be very interesting to me. Linebackers too in there. My guy, a lot like you, it's the easy things to say. It's going to be Zach Harrison. Ohio State's going to put them in a position, and he's going to get 2 sacks by the end of the game and hit, the Morgan how many other times. I'm going to go a little different. I think it's going to be Mitchell. I think Taraja is going to, it's a running.
He's a thumper.
He's going to hit Ibrahim. He's going to be running the ball a lot in this game. And I think he's going to have double-digit tackles. I think he's just going to be a force to reckon. But it's going to be kind of like, all right, you're going to start feeling a little comfortable about your linebackers coming out of this game, I think. And I think he's going to be the main reason why. I know it's just a spring game, but I liked how I saw him moving and stuff. I think he's finally got his opportunity, and he's going to run with it.
I like that. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Are we going to say if one of these guys are actually going to have a punt return touchdown this year? I think we said it every game last year that was going to happen. From what was thrown out from the Cleveland Plain Dealer guys today, that it seems like it's going to be Wilson and
Garrett Wilson again, and Jackson Smith and Jigba.
There's going to be the punt returners. Nothing yet on the kick returners. So we have heard that Trevian's taken a lot of snaps back there. So.
I heard specifically that Trevian Henderson and Emeka Ibuka have been taking a lot of reps as kickoff returners.
So, that's an idea. We'll find that one out on Thursday. It seems like though the Garrett and JSN are going to be your punt returners. So It's not going to happen. I'm gonna go opposite this year. I'm gonna say it's no every time this week.
Garrett Wilson will have a punt return for a touchdown this week.
So
it will happen.
Hopefully it will happen, but I'm gonna say no until it does.
I don't know how much I would honestly. You got so many playmakers on that team. I understand like Ohio State, kind of like the whole KJ Hill thing. Like he won't take it to the house, but honestly, we just need someone to field the punt. Like it doesn't matter. We need to get the ball cleanly. Maybe get a couple yards out of it. Of course, Garrett Wilson gives you a lot more when, the other end of that he could get a lot more than just a couple yards. I don't know how much I would have him out there, though.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. If it's JSN a lot more, just be like, hey, if you're not 100% sure, like if you're 99% sure that you have a lane, put up your arm and take the fair catch.
I know that guy has amazing hands too, though, but I just don't want stupid stuff can happen on punt returns. Someone can get blocked in the back and fall into your knee, or you get blasted when you're waiting for the ball. A lot of stupid crap can happen. And I don't want anything to happen to Garrett Wilson. That's unnecessary.
Yeah. All right. So we will throw out our scores here in a little bit. But we're going to go with this week's kind of the Big Ten runaround, where we think they're gonna who's gonna win, the spreads and all that stuff. So I'm going off ESPN's app on the spreads. So playing opposite us starts a little bit earlier. 6:30 game at BTN. We got Rutgers home against Temple. Rutgers is a 14.5 point favorite. Who did I just say that? I told you the other day who's Temple's starting quarterback is, and I can't think of his name now.
I can't remember.
Let's see if I can.
I'll look it up.
It was a transfer kid. But I don't know if they're gonna have. So 14.5.
Oh, it's DeJuan Mathis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, they'll cover that. That's I thought. Yeah, I'll give Rutgers. They'll win by 14.5.
Okay.
DeJuan Mathis isn't very good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they're like in a weird position for me in the Big Ten East this year, because I liked a lot what I saw from them. Ohio State, Penn State are the top two in my opinion. I think Penn State will be back to what Penn State should be back to. If Penn State can get through Auburn, I could very easily, Wisconsin, Auburn are big challenges for them. I think they're going to go 500 in those two games, but if they could win both of them, they should be undefeated by the time they come to Columbus. And
I would think so.
So that will be interesting. But Rutgers is kind of a weird team. Because I think they could be better than Maryland. Shannon's a good coach, and he's been getting some talent there. They got a lot of different transfer kids this year.
And Mike Loxley's not a good coach, and even though he gets talent, he doesn't know how to coach it.
They should have very easily beat Michigan last year, and I don't know what Indiana. People want to say like Indiana could very easily come back down to earth this year. And, because everybody's going to now be circling Indiana as a team to beat.
I could see Indiana realistically as a 7-5, 8-4 type team.
So it'll be interesting. I think that they are probably the second worst team in the East, but I don't know. They could be third.
Michigan State's bad.
I forgot Michigan State's in.
Michigan State's bad.
So, third worst team.
I think they're third.
But they could be the fourth worst team and fifth best or whatever that is now where we're at. Because they could beat Michigan, and
wouldn't that be something?
They could beat Indiana. They weren't that off last year on that.
No, they were. They beat them. Hook and ladder at the end of the game, almost won, right?
Yeah. All right. Friday we have Michigan State at Northwestern. Northwestern's a 3-point favorite. I think that should be an easy cover for Northwestern.
Well, wasn't that last year? Wasn't that the game they lost last year was to Michigan State?
Probably.
Yeah. So, I think so. You never know though, because that's Northwestern's problem is but they try to, punch you in the mouth and beat you up, and Michigan State probably still has stronger punchers on their team. So I'm not sure. I'll go Northwestern just because, they've been more successful over the last couple of years. I'll say Northwestern wins and they cover that.
the first game of the weekend, but I will save this towards the end because that'll be what I think is going to be the best conference game outside of ours. At least ones that we care about. So Western Michigan, Michigan. So Michigan's a 17-point favorite. It's in the Big House.
Yeah.
I think that we should easily cover that. I mean, I don't know how good Western Michigan is. I know sometimes Western can give them a little bit of a game.
I'll tell you what, that's a bad start for Jim Harbaugh this year if they don't win by 17 points.
Yeah, his seat might be getting kind of hot.
Increasingly hotter.
Looks like nobody cares about Nebraska and Fordham because we don't have a line on that one. I think Nebraska should probably easily.
They should handle them.
And I would hope that everybody's pretty upset that Fordham gets to take all gets all the frustrations this week.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's going to be bad for Fordham.
Maryland, West Virginia. So West Virginia is a 3-point favorite.
I think West Virginia wins by more than 3.
Yeah.
I think they'll cover the spread. Yeah. I don't think, Maryland, I can't see that.
Maryland always
Maryland at least home there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maryland always does weird against
out of conference. Maryland. Yeah. Maryland pulls upsets.
I'm going to say Maryland's going to outright win. I'm going to go with that. So not only will they cover, they will actually win the game.
That'd be good. I mean, they do have talent on their team. That's not like it's impossible.
All right. At Iowa, BTN, 3:30 Saturday. Indiana at Iowa.
On BTN?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything bad about BTN people or BTN itself. I expected more. I thought that was a little bit more marquee than that. So that's a little bit of a shock to me. All right, what's the spread on that game?
It's 3, Iowa favorite.
It's at Iowa?
Yeah. So it's a pick 'em that basically
against Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go Iowa and Kinnick, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of the stadiums that's gonna be like you gotta. It's also the first time we're gonna be seeing a lot of fans back, so I mean it's gonna be a rowdy game.
That'll be rowdy, and that's a little bit later gives them a little bit of time to get a little boozed up before the game. It's gonna be dark before the end of that game. Yeah, I mean, give me Iowa against Indiana at home all day, every day. Twice on Sundays. I don't. I mean, we'll see. Mike Penix is still there. Who knows how he came back, but he's healthy. Freifrogel's still there. So, yeah, maybe Indiana, they still have the magic from last year.
I think Iowa wins this game. I think Iowa is going to win by 10. It's going to be an Iowa game that, I think they will control the game. I like their back 7. I was listening to a little bit about their back 7 today on the radio. It seems like they need to replace a couple guys on the defensive line. And Penix is really good, and they have some good. Sure. They've gotten a lot of good transfer players in. Indiana has, but I'm just not ready to drink the Indiana Kool-Aid like so many other people. Last year was a very shortened season, and
weird things happen. I mean, like I said, Rutgers almost beat them. I mean, Michigan
probably did beat them.
Penn State probably did beat them. And in all honesty, I mean, the guy just as easily could have been called out of bounds.
Yeah. So,
and Penn State would have beat them if they don't score that touchdown at the end of the game.
Yeah.
All the guy had to do for Penn State is go down the 1 yard line. Do you remember that?
Yes.
He scored, and then that's what people like. I remember when they got all ticked off at Nick Chubb for the Browns fans because he didn't score, so that they would cover on their bets. And it's like, dude, you see this stuff where you kick off, they score, they get the ball back, they score again, and your team ends up losing because of it. Like, sometimes you got to play it smart to win games.
Yeah. I'll say Iowa with that one. Here's the one what I actually think is going to be the best game on the Big Ten slate for the weekend. And I'm kind of weird to me that, I know Penn State had a bad season last year, but it's weird to me.
Penn State has talent.
Even though it's in Madison, that Wisconsin's a 5.5 point favorite. I thought they'd be a 3-point favorite. And I think Wisconsin's going to win this game, but I think Penn State's going to cover. Like, I think this is a 3-point or less game here.
I could easily see that. I don't think Penn State is going to get beat up. And that's what Wisconsin has to do to really start. Like, for Wisconsin to dominate your team, they have to just be able to, beat your defensive line into the ground. Penn State's had good defensive lines over the years.
Yeah.
And you might have lost some people, the last couple of drafts, but they usually bring them back in. They usually develop them pretty well over there. So, yeah, I agree with you. Wisconsin might, you know what? I'll say Penn State wins this game outright.
Yeah. Um,
I think Penn State they're not on Ohio State's level as far as talent, but they are a more dynamic, more athletic team than Wisconsin. They'll beat them outright in Madison. What time's this game?
This is a noon game.
That's a noon game.
This is
so
the big noon game.
Atmosphere is not even that crazy.
I said, I kind of mentioned that, it would be nice to see Penn State go 2-0 when they play between this game and Auburn. I could see, but I see them going 500. I think this is the loss. I just think that they'll cover. I actually do think they're going to beat Auburn in the whiteout because, I've never been impressed with Auburn's teams for the most part.
Not recently.
And granted, I know it's not Malzahn coaching. I've never really liked Malzahn's offenses. I can't remember who their new coach is, but
isn't it the guy from Boise State?
Yeah. Which will be interesting to see how he does down. And sometimes it's weird for me taking guys that are not part of the Southeast. It's just such a I know Boise State's been really, really good. It's just such a different culture.
It's a culture.
And that if he loses games, you're gonna be on a hot seat. Very quickly that in there if you're not winning games. All right. So before we get to ours, and we're not gonna go with spreads because I'm not gonna look them up. I'm assuming Clemson's favored over Georgia. Alabama is probably heavily favored over the U.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida State and Notre Dame. Just a couple of is it Clemson, Georgia? Is that the best game of the weekend? Or
I think that's the most definitely marquee matchup of the weekend. I don't know if it ends up being the best game. I think after the playoff last year, you do have some questions about Clemson's offensive line. Georgia always recruits very well. They have good defensive talent, and that could be something that if they're getting back to DJ or they're, behind the line stuffing the run, could turn into a long day for Clemson. Clemson has a ton of receiving talent, though.
Mm-hmm.
They have great running talent. Of course, they had a quarterback with probably the biggest arm in college football. And, their defensive line is going to be, if not the best in college football, is going to be top 3 defensive line in college football. So I guess for me, for it to be the best game, Georgia has to be able to do something offensively.
What is more likely to happen? Georgia's offense looking really good against Clemson's defense, or Clemson's offense looking really good against Georgia's defense? And because I think that's where everything falls. I think the only way Georgia has a shot in this game is their offense has to contribute to what their defense is going to contribute to. And I personally think Clemson's defense will make more plays at the end of the day than, even if Georgia has a better defensive showing, Clemson's defense will make enough plays that Georgia's offense is just so imaginative that I think that Clemson will find their spots against Georgia's defense and score points. They might not score more than 28 points, but I don't know if Georgia's going to get more than 17 in this game.
Yeah, I agree. That's where I'm at. I think Clemson, whatever, it has to be a close spread. So Clemson, they cover or they win outright, depending. I think that Georgia is just going to get worn down. Their offense isn't going to be able to do enough in the second half. Just like anytime they play a big game, their offense isn't able to do enough in the second half. And I think their defense will get worn down by Clemson because Clemson's offense will be able to, get first downs, will be able to do things, will be able to convert for touchdowns or points. So, yeah, I think Clemson wins this game.
On the U versus Bama. Now, I actually heard a guy talking today about SEC that Alabama should win the SEC without a problem, but there are some question marks there. They have lost a lot on offense.
Oh, sure. You lost a lot the last 2 drafts.
And there's definitely arguments to be made that even though everybody has anointed them very easily as the number 1 team, that Ohio State, Clemson, and Oklahoma have much better rooms coming back and overall talent because Alabama has lost a lot of kids. Not saying that they don't have kids there.
Right.
They just have a lot of unproven kids there, where Ohio State, outside of your quarterback and maybe a couple other things here and there, I mean, they're loaded to the brim with talent everywhere.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can't argue that fact. It's true. I mean,
I don't think
there is a price you pay when you have the most kids drafted highly in a draft, like
I don't think Miami beats them, but does Miami make this a game to where you then might think then like somebody or maybe two somebodies could get Alabama this year in the SEC?
I don't remember what year it was. It was they played Florida State though to open up the season. Maybe DeAndre Francois was the quarterback for Florida
remember
State.
they got like that was counted as a top 10 victory, even though
Florida State fell apart because they hurt Francois in that game. And Florida State, it was like they did okay. Like they were keeping it there. They got pressure on Alabama, but then like a couple drives ago, Alabama would score. It almost felt like Ohio State versus Clemson in 2016. Maybe not as bad, even though the score was probably worse. And then it was like Florida State was kind of in the game. And then, Bama kind of scored. Then Francois got hurt. Then the doors got blown off. So I think like Miami could do some things in this game, but I mean, it won't look close even if they do. Now, the second part of your question, though, yeah, I think Alabama, I mean, it really just depends. Is there going to be a Joe Burrow, Joe Brady in the SEC this year?
Yeah.
We've seen at the end of the year, Alabama has run themselves ragged and Auburn will get them in the Iron Bowl because they are injured or they got nothing left.
Yeah. And
so maybe that happens again.
It's just like for somebody to beat them on the West, it's just, and they're East, they play Tennessee. They don't play either Florida or Georgia.
No, they got a good schedule.
And they don't really have a lot of their break because the Mississippi schools now. Ole Miss could be a very interesting team this year. I mean, Lane has really recruited very well. That could be.
And he gave Bama everything they wanted last year.
Like a lot of people, and me included, said that Ole Miss could be the sleeper of the West this year. I was much more impressed with Jimbo as a coach at Florida State than I have ever been with him at Texas A&M. I don't see where all that money got thrown to. That
they had a good year though last year, and they got guys coming back.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Auburn. I mean, you will see if it happens. I mean, it's happened. I mean, they have beaten all Alabama a lot more than Michigan has beaten Ohio State, and you think that, like, I think in a lot of people's minds that they've handled that rivalry is about as good as Ohio State's handled it. No, it's like, Auburn's actually does do what rivals are supposed to do and knock them off every now and then. I mean, they've actually, I think Malzahn had 3 wins against them.
And this will be a home game, I think, right? Because aren't them and Michigan, they get homes the same years?
I think so.
Are they the odd years?
I think so, but I can't remember.
I don't think they won in Tuscaloosa 3 times.
No. LSU is just not impressed with LSU outside of the year they won the national title.
Not till I see something else. No.
So I don't see them, but could they lose could finally Georgia figure out how to beat them in the SEC title?
No, they can't.
So they could lose a game, but I think they're still the SEC champion, so are easily going into the playoffs. So.
Like I said, until I see if someone has a Joe Burrow, Joe Brady situation, and let us not forget that also took Tua being like injured for most that year, and Alabama was still within, I believe, a touchdown of that game at the end of that game.
It was a good game.
That was a hell of a game. So I'm still, that game could have still went either way. So I got to see something special for one of these other teams for me to think someone's going to knock them off in the SEC, and I think multiple teams will knock them off. Now, if they look, because, they lost a lot of people, so, you don't got Ruggs, Judy, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle anymore catching your passes. You got Michi and a bunch of unproven guys. So if they don't look good, then yeah, I mean, it could be a longer, in their terms, a longer year than what they're used to. But until I see someone else step up to the occasion and grab the brass ring from Alabama, that they realize that this is their time to strike, I'm going to say Alabama.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. So before we get into our game, just one last one. We won't really spend any time really talking on it. This, I'm Cohn's the quarterback at Notre Dame, and I've never been impressed with
No,
him.
never.
But can Florida State actually put a team back on the field?
Not in this game.
Like,
no.
So Notre Dame's winning, right?
I think so. I joke around that Florida State eventually they'll be back, and I've joked around that they'll win this game outright. I can't make myself actually believe it though. So no, I don't. Florida State or Notre Dame will win. I don't know what
could
the
be
spread
a good
is.
crowd, and it could be a good crowd in Tallahassee, though. I'm assuming that they're definitely going to be.
Hey, and there could be some juju for Bobby Bowden going on. You never know.
Yeah, it's true, and I'm sure they'll have a big. They'll probably have a big thing planned for that. Ohio State's 14-point favorite, so they're on the road. Minnesota's returning a lot of kids. Obviously, Ohio State is the talented team and the most talented team in the room. Mm-hmm. It seems like Ohio State's, from what we've heard, just reading between a lot of lines, they're going to be playing with a big chip on their shoulder. I think, was it Bruce Feldman that said the other day that not that Minnesota was going to beat them, but he thinks that they're going to lose a couple games this year, the Buckeyes, just because he doesn't think that.
Yeah, I think so.
That they're even that much better than Iowa. Like when he threw out Iowa, and I was like, was an eyebrow raiser. Like,
yeah.
They are so far in front of this rest of this conference. I think Minnesota could do some stuff in the first quarter. I think Minnesota, though, is not going to do much after that. And so I think Ohio State easily covers. I'm saying 42-17. So where you at?
So I was actually going to say 41-17, but you know what? 41. Yeah, 17 was stuck in there. I'm saying 41-17.
Okay. Yeah, I think they just get touchdowns. So you're thinking a couple field goals in there?
No. I think Noah Ruggles wins the job. He misses the first extra point, and then Siebert becomes the starting kicker after that. I think the game starts off 6-0 Ohio State, and then Siebert is installed, and he makes the rest of the extra point. No, all touchdowns. They just miss one of the extra points.
I'm thinking it'll probably be a 7-7 first quarter, and then that probably Ohio State's going to be up by 4 touchdowns going into halftime. I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think they'll dominate. It'll kind of like 2 years. It'll feel like 2 years ago all over again, where they're just going to be very dominant in the second quarter.
Blitzkrieg,
and then they'll just put them out of their misery.
Yeah,
and then they'll ride at home.
I could definitely see that. First touchdown for Ohio State.
I'm saying it's gonna be a pass. I'm gonna go say CJ Stroud to Jeremy Record.
Okay, I'm saying Marvin Jr.
Okay, I like that.
Let's go something different. Shake it up. That's what I'm feeling. First rushing touchdown.
Trevion.
Agreed.
And it's gonna be a long one. It's gonna be a 60+.
That'd be awesome. I'd be really into that. That'd be cool.
It'll be their first touchdown of the second quarter.
Quinn Ewers gets to play. Yes or no?
No. No.
Any backup quarterbacks throw a touchdown.
If Day lets them, McCord will. I think McCord's the only backup getting in the game. Maybe Miller. 42-17. They're gonna be. I could see this. I don't think Stroud's going to play much into the third quarter, and then McCord will get in. I think he's the backup, and then maybe we'll see Miller. But I think we'll see all 4 of them here in a couple weeks when the Akron, Tulsa, Rutgers, possibly Maryland, possibly those 4 games. I think that's going to be plenty of times to see a lot of the backups throughout. But I don't think we're going to see more than 2 quarterbacks either of these first 2 games.
All right, last one. Either of the freshman defensive ends, do either one get a sack?
They both do.
Both get a sack. I love it. All right. I'm saying just Sawyer, but
I think Ohio State's gonna have like 4 or 5 sacks in the game. I think they're
that'd be great especially against a line like this.
because I think that they're going to be eventually Minnesota's going to be throwing the ball, and I think Harrison, probably Tyreek, one of those two are going to get 2 sacks.
I like it.
I just think that they're going to be, and Ohio State's defensive line, even with how good Minnesota's offensive line, they're going to look like the more dominant force in this game, and they're going to be very disruptive. I don't think Ibrahim is going to have a good game. I don't think.
Oh, that was actually my last one. I'm sorry. Does he break 100 yards?
No.
Okay. I agree.
I think he'll get somewhere between that 70 to 90 range. I think he's gonna look okay in plays, and he's gonna get shut down in plays, but I don't think he's gonna have that great of a rushing average. And I think it's just not gonna add up.
It's gonna get taken away from him pretty quickly too.
It's not gonna get added up by the end of the night.
Okay. I think I agree on most of those. So
all right.
Well, anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
Oh, just ready for kickoff.
Oh, hell yeah,
I
man.
still got a long day of work tomorrow, and then it'll be a long day on Thursday. Got to get up early to start the smoker. Plus, I'm working. Plus, I got the game. So, thank God I'm working from home. So, that's been the one benefit. I'm not trying to make light of COVID, but that's been basically the one benefit that I, received outside of that. I've had good health through this. That at least I've gotten to work from home. So
they give you Friday off?
I got Friday off.
So you get to sleep in on Friday.
I did get to sleep in a little bit on Friday.
So no excuses when I want to have a victory shot. Then you got to hang out for a little bit after the game.
I will.
You can't go right to bed. All right. Well, thank you everyone for stopping out tonight to the Buckeye Bar. I'm John.
I'm Mike.
OH.
IO. Go Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Buckeye Bar Guys on Buckeye Bar Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that all notifications bell so you see when new content is added. And please remember to like and share so we can grow our audience. Don't be afraid to comment. We want to know what you're thinking, and we want to know what content to add for you guys. OH.
IO.